Well, I wanted to show you 3 more of our theme gardens now that they're planted and they're starting to grow. And first off, in our Xeriscape garden around the barn, you'll recall a few weeks ago we had our plan and we were moving our shrubs around, getting ready to plant. Well, now we've got them all planted and they're really starting to look nice. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that here at the Studio Gardens, our theme gardens are demonstration gardens that we put in for a year. And you'll notice we've put our shrubs in fairly close together because we're going to be taking those out next year. Now, if you were doing this at home and you were moving your pots around, you would want to be sure and take into account the full-grown size of these shrubs, because these are close together, and the Helianthus that is over here on the side will actually get 8 feet tall. And also here with our Yopon holly, it can reach heights of 20 feet. And so we've got this planted kind of up under the eave of our barn. Now, if we were going to leave this here, we'd want to have it further out because we don't want it to grow up into the eave. But because we're going to take this out in a year, this makes a nice spot for it. Well, in addition to planting our shrubs, we've also filled in around the base with a lot of annuals and perennials. And I wanted to show you a few of the annuals that work well for a Xeriscape garden. And first off, here we've got our creeping zinnias, and they add a nice spot of color here on the corner of the barn. Now, walking on along here, we also have several different varieties of California poppies that do really well in a low water use situation. We also have put some coreopsis in here, and one of our unusual plants is the Dimorphotheca, or African daisy. Now, we're hoping these do well in our Xeriscape garden because they're really good for rock gardens. And you'll notice they have a striking flower on them. They have a nice, almost shiny petals with that black in the center, so they make a good show in the garden. Now, this should have a mounding habit of about a foot around here. Well, we've also planted some cosmos and one that's always a good bet for a low water use garden, and that's the rose moss. Well, let's take a look at another one of our theme gardens, and that's our award-winning flower garden. Well, our award-winning flower garden is really looking nice, and one of the plants that I wanted to show you is the perennial plant of the year this year for 1997, and that's the Salvia May Night. It has a beautiful long dark blue bloom and this wonderful dark green foliage. Now, salvia is in the mint family, and so we've got these square stems here, and this plant should look beautiful all summer and bloom like this for the summer. So we're anxious to see how it performs in our garden. We've got some other great plants in this garden, and one of those is the Still Bee Sprite, which is another perennial plant of the year, and also Prestige Scarlet Celosia, Early Sunrise Coreopsis, Red Plume Gaillardia, Lavender Lady English Lavender, Husker Red Penstemon, Strata Salvia, and Sunny Border Blue Veronica. Well, 3 other plants that are looking exceptionally nice right now are our Mont Blanc Nurembergia with the white flowers and the bright yellow centers, and one of the favorites out here at Oklahoma Gardening, our Purple Wave Petunia. Also, the Imagination Verbena is looking really nice now with this very dark purple bloom. Well, we're going to look forward to seeing this garden in full bloom, but right now let's take a look at another one of our theme gardens, and that's our orange garden. Well, our orange garden is starting to put off a lot of shades of orange right now. And one of the plants that we think is the neatest plant out here in the orange garden are these lion's ears. We got these as seed from Nichols Garden Seed. And these are very interesting plants. Everyone's been real impressed with these. First off, the stem on these is square and it's kind of indented. So we get this nice green, dark green in here, and then light green on the edges. And then the flowers start to move up. They look like something out of the space age, maybe off of the Jetsons or something. But we've got our little ears here, our lion's ears, and then up here where our bloom is, it looks a lot like a lion's mane. It's got a fuzzy orange flower, and these are just really striking. They draw a lot of people's attention. And these flowers can actually get 3 to 5 feet tall, and they're a tender perennial here, so we would plant them as an annual, and they're supposed to self-seed very well. So we'll have to watch that and see how they do. Well, also in our orange garden, we've planted some orange sunflower here in the back because they're going to get quite tall. And then we've got two varieties of safflower here, the orange and cream and lasting orange. One of the showiest flowers right now is our calendula. It's called bonbon, and that came from park seed, and it has a really very bright, almost safety orange bloom on it right now. Now these are supposed to be more heat tolerant. Most calendulas will kind of quit flowering when it starts to heat up, and hopefully these will give us some bloom clear through the summer. Well, we've also got some Tithonia, or Mexican sunflower, and over here I wanted to show you, these are some more of our lion's ears, and this is kind of what happens when you pinch plants. Now the lion's ears that we looked at first were never pinched when they were in the greenhouse, but these down here at the bottom were pinched out, and that has caused them to bush out a lot more. You'll notice they're quite a bit shorter than the other lion's ears, and they're bushier and the foliage is larger. But it's also set the bloom back a little bit. Now these were both planted at the same time, but this is a good lesson on what pinching will do for a plant. Well, over here our cannas are starting to come up, and our Wyoming cannas are starting to show their nice bronzy foliage, and this foliage actually blends in really well with our mulch here. Well, you can tell that our orange garden is really starting to sizzle, and we're looking forward to watching this as it goes through the summer and we get different shades of orange.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.